while back. But you know when your kids do something well for the first time, and it's like, okay, maybe I do got this parenting thing down. maybe I am pretty good.
I know where this is going.
Maybe I am pretty good at this. It's because you spend so much time correcting and reprimanding and just you never know, is this sticking? Is this just going in one ear out the other? So the other day, Cooper, we were headed to a restaurant, and my 6-year-old goes up ahead of everybody and opens the door, pulls the door open, holds the door open for all of us. And that sounds dumb, it sounds small, but it's like that small little moment. It's like, okay, he's okay. Something's sticking here. He might not be a little shit after all. He might be turning into, well, he is a little shit, but he might have some qualities that are gonna manifest into a better human one day.
I'm starting to accept is that your kids around you are going to be a little shit.
Well, true. That's a good point.
The point is when they're not with you, how are they?
Right.
Like, I'm great with you being awesome because all of my kids pretty much, except for my oldest, she's great all the time. And I hate saying that, like, because I don't want to give her too much credit. But and I'm actually the hardest on her of all because my expectations of her are so high because she is a stud, right? But all of my kids, I hear all the time from people, like, you have the most well-behaved kids. Like, your kid, they are so polite. They are so great. And I'm like, we're not talking about the same kids.
Not the same.
Because, like, my interactions with them are very different than what you're explaining right now. But it's like, all right, like, that's the point is when you send them off, how are they going to be in society? Are they going to be productive? Are they going to be respectful? Are they going to be empathetic? Are they going to, all the things that we try to instill? And hearing from other people, now, I guess I've got to put this out there too, is that every other kid is such a even bigger piece of crap, I feel like, these days. And sorry for all y'all out there if I'm talking about your kids, but I think the level is lower.
Yeah.
Right? The bar of what's acceptable for a kid is extremely low just because of all the things that we've talked about just with society recently. So when your kid opens the door for someone, they're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this.
That is, you do get quite the reaction from people when they see that. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that moment when you think, and it's kind of like our day job, our business. There's just enough carrots out there to keep you coming back. You get your dick kicked in every single day.
I was going to say.
But there's just a few enough.
You know what's out there, though,
like
to explain what the carrot is and what we do in commercial real estate? It's like if you've ever, like, juiced, right? Have you ever done, like, a juicer? Have you ever?
I've seen it. I've never done it.
I don't do that, that hippie stuff. But you juice a carrot, and then out comes, like, it all juices out, and then out comes the
pulp and all that?
The pulp or whatever of it, but it's not, I don't think it's pulp,
but
whatever it is. But just little chunks. It's dry and it doesn't taste good. That's what we get to keep you interested. All the good juice is taken out. Just enough to say, hey, here's an idea of what it could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had that good moment, and then but a little bit later that day, we had a moment where I was like, okay, this is. There he is. There's the real you. So we were in the bathroom at a public place, and my thing, I like to pick up paper towels that are on the floor that selfish dickheads leave on the floor, and I'm reaching down. I said, hey, when we see trash on the floor, we pick it up, and I'm picking it up and putting his. No, we don't. This isn't the 80s.
He said that.
That's what he said. No. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why he said it.
How do you even know to reference the 80s? Did you even know that was an actual time period?
Maybe he heard somewhere that's when I was born. I don't know. But he said, no, we don't. This isn't the 80s.
That's when you grab him by the back of the neck, you pinch the back of his neck, and you just slowly lower him to the ground.
Lick it.
All right, here's a scenario. And my best buddy in the world back home, he told me this story. We ran into him when we were in Phoenix. Not ran into him. They were out there visiting, and so we connected for lunch. And he's told me this story. This is a what would you do? He sends his two boys to the bathroom. They go to the bathroom. They're in there for a long time. And his wife's like, you should probably go check on them. Like, they've been in there a while. And he's like, okay. So he goes in, and he sees one on their hands and knees on the ground, and the other one is standing and, like, not even by the toilet. And like you could tell they're panicking and freaking out. And he like looks over the thing, and one of the older one is cleaning up the ground, but it's if you were to like dump like a chocolate shake on the ground.
Oh.
And so, yeah, long story short, the boys got in a fight. Their stomachs were hurting. They got in a fight over, and there was only one toilet in the bathroom.
Who gets to use it first?
Who gets to use it? So the first one wasn't done, but the older one had to go. So he started to, he was the one, and then he sits on, and then the younger one pulls him off of the toilet while he's going, and he goes everywhere. So do you clean that up, Ben?
Yes, you have to. You can't leave that for somebody else. That is I spent 30 minutes cleaning up a 3-year-old.
Here's the real question: if someone did leave it and there was paper towels all over the top of it,
yes. No, that's where I draw the line. I'm not cleaning up.
I was trying to come up with a scenario where you would say I would leave it.
I would leave that absolutely. Yeah, no, I spent 30 minutes yesterday, in fact, cleaning up a 3-year-old's.
Oh yeah.
He decided to go in his underwear, even though he's potty trained. He just said, "I'm not going to the toilet." What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I forget why I go to the toilet. I think I could just go in my pants.
Well, it's funny because I was out in the garage working out. It was in the morning, and he comes up and he said, "I poopied. I don't want a spanking." That's the only thing he told me. So of course I'm not gonna.
Got him trained.
Yeah.
Well done, Ben. Well done.
So anyway, I don't remember where we led down there, but it was a good moment followed by that's maybe I do suck at this. By the way, sorry, not to go off another tangent here. Not to throw my wife under the bus, but she'll never listen to this.
Same.
At what age if you're at a restaurant, do you let your kid go to the bathroom by themselves?
Different opinions. Tiff and I have very different.
Okay, I do too.
Yeah, very different.
My wife. What's your opinion?
So depending on the restaurant, right? I think it all depends on like
Waffle House versus.
Yeah. Are we like down in Dallas at like a big restaurant, like a Yard House or something that's like, okay, the bathroom's on the other side, or like you're a small town Salina restaurant where you can literally see the door. Yeah. Like it kind of all depends. But I think our oldest was probably 6.
Okay.
When we started like, okay, we got eyes on you. Okay, go do your thing. Like I'm confident that like you can actually take care of yourself in there. So I think it's kid by kid. And then my 2 boys, my youngest was probably 4 because he had his older brother, and if they went together, they could go.
Yeah, I sent my 6-year-old off by himself.
Oh yeah.
The other day,
does not like that.
She hated it.
Yeah.
She thought it was horrible, and it didn't help that he came back and told us that he couldn't reach the soap, so a man helped him with the soap. Yeah. Oh, that would put my wife over the edge too. Yeah. So the fear of somebody picking him up and taking him off was.
and I'm just more under the I just kind of trust people blindly, which is I think is not great. And my wife is the opposite. Like she assumes the worst. Like if I'm like one of our biggest fights is if I'm at the gas station and I've got to like run in to grab something, I put the kids in, I lock my door, and I go grab it and I run back out. Well, my kids are the biggest rats ever. And so like I usually leave my phone in there because they know how to work the phone. Every time talk to them. Do not open the door for anybody. If somebody comes up to the window, ignore them.
Yeah.
And so we have that talk, and I'm literally in there for 30 seconds, right? I know some people get arrested. If you're in California, you get arrested for doing this. But I leave the car running, and they'll call my wife, be like, "Dad left us in the car again." I'm like, "You rats."
Dude, they don't even waste any time to narc you out.
Dude, they are the hugest narcs. But my wife got the taste of it the other day, too. So they did the same thing to her. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It's good for you to feel it.
All you parents listen can nod your head in agreement. All you non-parents are like, okay, guys, move on. Yeah. Let's quit telling your stupid parenting stories. So let's dive into today's topic. But before we do want to thank our partners as always. First and foremost, Sleep Number. My wife is, and again, she won't listen to this, so I don't care. She's getting to the end of pregnancy, and you know what that means. It means big belly.
Super uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
No sleep.
However, we do have a Sleep Number 360 smart bed, and she is actually finding positions with the bed that she can put up or down that is allowing her to be much more comfortable when we sleep. So big shout out to Sleep Number. Not only is it comfortable for me, it's comfortable for a 8.5 month pregnant wife. So
thank you.
If that's not an endorsement enough, I don't know what is.
Right.
Go find yourself a local Sleep Number store. Go try them out. They have white glove service when you walk in. They treat you like you're a VIP and put you through a whole system to try to find the exact smart bed for you. And it's a great experience. So go check out Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. And then our second partner.
Yeah, so Choctaw. I'm going to take this one over today.
Go for it.
So Choctaw Casino and Resorts in Durant, Oklahoma. We always say short drive up 75 from Dallas. Be there in an hour from downtown Dallas. Even less if you're up north like Ben and I.
That's right.
And here's one thing I want everybody to circle. Everybody watched the Super Bowl, right? Everybody.
Yep. I fell asleep in it, but yeah, I watched it.
Literally every single person on earth watched the Super Bowl, right? Who sang the national anthem?
Rihanna.
Oh my gosh, really?
Oh, the national anthem. Oh, Chris Stapleton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton is doing 2 shows in March, March 17th and 18th.
That's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
It is. If you're looking for, and husbands, here's a little cheat code for you. Surprise your wife, book a room, get tickets for one of the nights, and do a little getaway.
That's one of those where you're helping yourself out.
I'm telling you. Also, just remember hotels for married couples when they're away from the kids.
Yeah.
Just going to leave it there.
Time.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Just going to leave it there.
Fill in the blank.
The entire experience, the entire weekend, I'd say, look, stay 2 nights. My recommendation, stay 2 nights and go to dinner, go see Chris Stapleton, gamble a little bit. It is going to be one of the best investments that you could make, not only just for a good time, but into your marriage. It's great time together, as long as you don't lose.
That's a great suggestion. And to further that, if you go to a Chris Stapleton concert at AT&T Stadium, let's say,
yeah, I mean,
and you're buying the
whatever.
cheap seats, you're going to be – Chris Stapleton's going to look like an ant.
Yeah.
The great thing about Choctaw, there's no bad seat in that arena.
No bad seat.
I mean, you could be way at the top, and it's like he's right in front of you.
Yeah. And we've talked to a handful of artists that have played there, and literally they're like, that's one of my favorite places to play because the sound is so good.
That's right. It's small. It's not a big venue, but that's why they like it.
Yep.
So absolutely, couldn't agree more to that.
March 17th and 18th.
Man, that kind of got me excited for summer. That was
like, let's go.
Yeah, that was good. You do Choctaw ads.
I'll let you borrow my boots again.
Okay. Yeah, we got to plan a trip to Montana. I got to get some boots.
Come on.
Okay, well, let's dive into today's topic. It's part 3 where we're working to answer the question, is the U.S. the greatest country in the world? And in part 1, we looked at our education system. Part 2, we looked at marriages, single parent households, and divorce rates. Part 3, we're looking at mental and physical health today. So we're going to start the same way we started the other 2 with some statistics. Then I'm going to give some reasons why, and I think maybe we go through these reasons one by one, get your reaction, get your feedback, your thoughts, your input, because all these are theories. They're nothing, you can't have scientific data exactly pointing to the right answer, but a lot of these theories and a lot of them make sense, so I want to get your take. So let's start with a couple of mental health statistics for the U.S. So 1 in 10 youth in the U.S. are experiencing depression that is severely impairing their ability to function in their daily lives. 1 in 10, so 10%. In 2020, mental health-related visits to the ER increased 31% among adolescents aged 12 to 17. Now, obviously, we all know what happened in 2020. On average, there are 130 suicides per day in the U.S. Second leading cause of death.
Of total suicides or in just that age group?
I'm gonna have to read the rest of that because that's all I have. Okay. So sorry about that. Second leading cause of death among individuals aged 10 to 14 and 25 to 34, suicide is. It's the third leading cause of death among individuals aged 15 to 24, and the fourth leading cause of death among individuals aged 35 to 44. Now, so that somewhat makes sense. Obviously, 10 to 14-year-olds aren't really, dying usually of heart-related issues, but still, second leading cause of death. That's pretty scary. Since 2000, there's been a 45% increase in suicide deaths per 100,000 people. Drug overdoses are rising. In 1999, there were just under 20,000 drug-induced deaths. The number steadily rose until a sharp increase in 2016 when there were 60,000 drug-induced deaths. And then another sharp increase in 2020 with 91,799. And in 2021, there were 106,699 drug-induced deaths in the United States.
When was fentanyl introduced into the U.S. market?
I think it really got crazy a couple years ago. 2021, I think,
2020,
was the
okay.
first crazy year. Yeah. And then last one on the mental health side, depression and anxiety disorders cost the global economy $1 trillion in lost productivity each year. $1 trillion each year. So that's the mental side. The physical side, and the asterisk, the note here before I read these statistics, to measure overweight and obesity, they use what's called the body mass index, and that's a chart based on your height and based on your weight. It gives you an age, and it gives you a reading of if you're obese, overweight. So it's not the greatest indicator, especially for. I was going to say, I think I am considered borderline obese. Right. So it's not the greatest indicator for athletic type bodies, heavy but carry a lot of muscle because it categorizes you. However, so take that with a grain of, take these next few stats with a grain of salt. But just looking around, I think it validates what I'm about to read you. Nearly 1 in 3 adults, 30.7%, are overweight. 2 in 5 adults, 42.4%, are obese, which is up from 30.5% in the year 2000. So year 2000, we were at 30. Now we're at 42.4% of adults are obese. 1 in 11 adults are quote-unquote severely obese.
1 in 11.
1 in 11. Gosh. 1 in 6 children ages 2 to 19 are overweight. 1 in 5 children are obese. 1 in 5 kids.
So 1 in 6 are overweight.
1 in 6 are overweight, and 1 in 5 are obese.
5
kids
are obese.
Ages 2 to 19.
So either you're skinny or obese, pretty much is what
pretty
it's
much.
saying.
That's essentially what it is. There's really no in between.
Dang.
1 in 16 children are quote-unquote severely obese. And it's an estimated annual medical treatment costs for obesity-related issues.
Put that number in perspective. Say you have a third grade student, one of your children. Statistically, 1.5 kids in their class are severely obese. Yeah. 1.5 in every single classroom.
Now, again, keep in mind, it's not like it's a 400-pound individual walking around, but they're much larger than the average.
Severely means you're in of all kids your age, you're in the 95th or above.
You're headed way down the wrong path, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then this was an astonishing number. Estimated annual medical treatment costs for obesity-related issues reached nearly $173 billion.
See, I'm surprised it's not bigger, honestly. I'm surprised it's not. Between diabetes, heart disease, cancers, because some cancers are associated with obesity, right?
Yep.
I mean, now you've got sleep apnea has to do with obesity, right? So now you've got sleep-related illnesses, ailments, and I'm just going off the cuff here, but between those, so heart disease, cancer, diabetes, sleep-related, now put it in the mental health bucket.
Yeah. Oh, there's a correlation for sure.
So I'm surprised that number's not bigger.
Yeah. And it's interesting, this is a side note, when I was reading through these statistics, I changed the wording a little bit. So
you're just making up rules as you go?
No, but I'm just saying, we're talking about speech, changing speech. So they say now they have obesity, not they are obese. So you have obesity. It's not that you are obese, it's that you have obesity. So
what are your thoughts on that?
I think my initial thought was, God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
PC is now, we got to, categorize people as and watch how we say if they're obese or not. But I guess the way more I thought about it is, we talk about identity all the time.
100%. That's where my mind went.
And it's I am something. It's that reinforcing effect.
Yeah.
And so I am obese.
That's who I am.
You're identifying with obesity.
Yeah.
As opposed to I have obesity.
Yep.
It's not who I am, but I happen to have it. So. Yeah.
If you talk
from my charitable side, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
If you talk to any life coach, fitness coach that are working with severely obese, Chris, Biggest Loser.
Oh, Pal.
Pal. So, I mean, he talks about like the language that you talk to yourself is like, when you say I am obese, like that's who I am.
Right.
Like
Right.
you have to separate it, because the person that's inside of you is not what you look at in the mirror per se. Right. Like I get that. And I agree with it. What I don't like, and you need to be cautious of when you are just putting it aside, like I have obesity, when you frame it in a way that like obesity is in control, that's not the case.
Right.
Like that now becomes an excuse, like, oh, I have obesity, or it's very different than saying like I have cancer. Like cancer is not a choice. Cancer is not a lifestyle choice. Cancer, like it may be as a result of it, but once you have cancerous cells inside your body, right, they then are attacking you. Whereas like obesity can be combated at your choice. It's your choice to do it or not, right? And look, I'm going to acknowledge that maybe there's some mental health. There's some mental health challenges. There's coaching that needs to be done to be able to separate. Like it's not as simple as like, well, just want it more and just work. Yeah. Like I recognize it's not that simple. No. But when you give credit to being overweight, like it's not your fault, that is dangerous. And so I agree that like, look, calling it I am this and changing the language, changing the perspective that like, no, I have this. I understand it. As long as you're using that to benefit yourself, to get yourself healthy, great.
Yeah.
When you use it as an excuse, I'm not okay with that.
Right. Yeah. And so all those statistics, and here's some theories as to why. So on the physical side, and that actually, what you just said actually leads well into this. So why are we so out of shape, so overweight, et cetera, et cetera? The simplest answer is it really boils down to we're consuming way too many calories and we're living more sedentary lives. Yeah. That's what it boils down to. Yeah. That's the simple reason. Now, why are we doing that? That's where it gets complicated. It's not so easy to just say, I think it's why don't you move more and eat less?
No, I think it's pretty simple. I want to let you finish, and then I'll provide my reason why it is simple.
The formula is simple. I think there's so much psychology tied to that formula, though, and there's so many. Again, this is my liberal side coming out of me. There's a lot of people living a life so differently than me that, yes, ultimately it is their choice what goes in their mouth and how much they move their body. But I can't even comprehend the lifestyle that they have to lead each day. And for example, a single mother who's very low income, living in the inner city, has to balance 3 jobs just to pay the bills.
Yep.
The last thing on that woman's mind is, oh, I better go to the gym today. She is in survival mode. She is trying to take care of her kids. So that's where it gets complicated.
Yep.
Yes, of course. Does she have control over eating too many calories and moving her body? Yeah, I guess if you want to boil it down, absolutely. I'm just saying I get that that's not the highest priority in her life. And so how many Americans are out there that fall into that category of working out and fitness? Even if I wanted to, it's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
Now again, you could spin circles. You could say, well, you could do body weight exercise at home. I'm just saying I understand that if that was me in that position, fitness would not be my number one priority. My number one priority would be taking care of my family. What do you say to that?
Yeah. So the simple answer is the reason we are sedentary and consume more than we exert is because we can.
Yep.
Simply.
Right.
For the last 80 years-ish, we have worked really hard to create an easy life. Right? There's been hard times and challenges, but for the most part, from a technology standpoint, from a production, we don't have to do much to thrive. We really don't. So where we're at generationally is we have, parents that, that were, let's just start in the 50s, right? They were born in the, the Great Depression. So they didn't necessarily have to work like their parents did.
Right.
Just to survive.
Right.
Okay. So you got first generation parents like in the 50s, right? That's the stereotypical suburb. What's the show? They always joke about it, like that suburban 50s. Dad comes home and
Leave It to Beaver.
But not the Leave It to Beaver, but like the stereotypical answer of like that suburban family, like the 50s. That was it, right? So that was the first time. Dad still worked all day. Mom took care of the house. Okay, so then next generation, let's just say 70s, right? There's exploration. Like there was a lot of drugs. There was, this was like Vietnam era, so it was like a lot of rebellion. But again, from a technology standpoint, now you're getting into, using more of like telephones, typewriters, like jobs are getting easier, like less manual labor, starting to introduce production offshore using China, starting to start to get that. Then you, again, keep fast forwarding, next generation, parents in the 90s, my parents, right? Their grandparents were in a really hard era. Their parents, a little bit easier, them even easier, then get to our generation. Now we have it super easy where we work from home. We can do everything virtually. There's literally, I would say, and I'm just going to throw this out here, 75% of the jobs in the U.S. don't require physical labor, right? You've got professional services, you've got sales, you've got all these industries that are built around like communication, talking, right? So we've built this and using it, technology, which we've worked really hard to develop, and we don't have to do much. Right. So now fitness is a choice. It's not a requirement. You don't have to go out and find and get your food.
Nope.
You order it and it drops off at your house. So you don't have to walk to your car, get in your car, drive to the store, walk around the store, get the stuff, check out, carry the groceries back in the house. You literally walk to your front porch, pick it up, and for the most part, right? They don't deliver to my house, so I don't have that luxury, but everything is easy. So you can be sedentary. The point is you can. So now you're going to have to make a choice. Do I want to be physically fit or not? And also, and now here's where the complexities come in that you were mentioning, is I think one is, were you raised in a home where physical fitness or health was important?
Right.
You have a ton of uneducated people that have never discussed, just like so many adults our age were never coached on finances or credit or anything like that. Same thing with fitness. So were you exposed to it, or are you just trying to learn it later on in life because you have to? Second is, we are also in a media culture that celebrates unhealthiness.
Yeah, that's true.
So now you're battling. It's like, no, like I am who I am. It's like,
well, I think I've heard it even say it's white supremacy if you take fitness seriously. Yeah. Have you heard that lately?
No.
Yeah, that's a
thing.
It's a very small minority, loud minority are yelling that, but yeah, it's a white supremacy thing to put emphasis on fitness.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
It's good.
So, and again, here's the hard part. There's a portion of me that believes that in our lifetime, there's going to be a point where we are going to revert back, and we're going to revert back to decades before where we're at, because of the way that we're running our country, the way that we're living. I have this like weird gut, like survivalist thing that like and you talk about it, I need to be physically fit because I need to be ready if it hits the fan.
Yeah.
And if I said this 10 years ago, you're like, okay, bro, conspiracy,
right.
Like relax. Yeah. Now you're like, that's not totally out of the question.
It's not the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I've heard some dumb stuff. I've heard dumber. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But
no, I'm tracking with you and everything you're saying. The other thing that's come along with technology and ease of life is portion sizes, for one, have gotten much bigger over the years. convenient foods tend to be more high in calorie and less nutritious for you. Fast food, for instance. It's convenient. It's easy. I'm busy. I'm on the go. I'm going to grab a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, which I love, but they're very high in calorie, not the greatest thing for you. So convenience along with busyness is not a great recipe for personal health.
Right.
So totally with you, totally tracking with you. Again, I do want to be mindful of the subset of the population that it's just not
the
in the cards for
opportunity.
them. Right. The opportunity to be physically fit. Again, it's always a choice. However, there's always trade-offs.
Right.
Life is trade-offs. That's all it is.
And
what are you trading your physical health for? And what are you getting out of not being physically healthy?
Yeah.
Maybe you're pursuing other things.
Yeah.
So
it's what we talked about the other day, though, like with kids, like saying you can accomplish anything. You don't think that that's right. I think that physical and mental health, I'm gonna slide to the side out of this conversation real quick. But physical health, there is, unless you have some sort of physical ailment that prohibits you from doing something, which even there's opportunities for those individuals. I mean, adaptive training here in Dallas, David Verboa, I mean, amputees, like severely disabled people, there's a training regimen there for you.
Right.
So does everybody have the same opportunity? No, I don't think so. I think that there are additional challenges, but to say that I don't have the opportunity, I think is false, because there are opportunities. Do I recognize that there are an immense amount of challenges that you face that other people don't? Yes, I recognize that. And I'm empathetic to that.
Yeah.
Nor should you be held to the same standard as, say, someone that has the opportunities. Yeah. But to say that you don't have an opportunity, that's false. And this may get me canceled, but like a single mother that's working 2 or 3 jobs, right? It takes 30 minutes of activity a day. So it's 30 minutes less. Okay, I've got to sleep. Okay, get up 30 minutes earlier, go for a walk, come back, do your day.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We've changed the definition of fitness over the years, and we think you have to show up to a certain place, pick up heavy things, put them back down, and go back home, or run on a moving treadmill. Yeah, we think that's the only thing that fitness is. Fitness, for the longest time, was just being an active person.
It is like raising your heart rate,
walking
from your
being not sitting down all day long.
That's right.
So we think fitness has to be defined by going to a gym and being super strenuous. It's just being active.
Yes.
And so that's to your point. If you can't go to a gym, if you don't have the funds or the means or the time, it's just being more active throughout your day. What can you do?
That's right.
And again, we are very fortunate that we're not in that position. We can go and actually physically train our bodies.
Yeah.
But if we couldn't, it's because, and that's the hard thing to convince people, is there's a correlation here, right? You're going to feel better if you are physically active, which translates to so many things. Translates to better parenting, translates to better income because you have more energy at work, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the hard part, is just convincing people that it's taking time away from something else is actually going to enhance everything else.
Yeah. It's like you think it's harder, but like just it's that gospel, like evangelical. It's like, I want you to know this. Like, I want you to know that your life can be so much more, so much more joyful and full and I don't know. I totally hear you. And it's hard. It really is.
Yeah, it is. Again, there's people dealing with things that we can't understand, and it's just always going to be an issue. And,
totally.
And I get it.
So let's take this conversation. We haven't done this the last 2 episodes. I want to ask you, is the United States the greatest country in the world? Okay, let's put this topic, and let's, from what we know, and we're not experts by any means, but like, who's doing it better?
Yeah. I would say, again, just my limited knowledge, some Asian cultures are doing it better.
Yeah.
They tend to eat less sizable portions. They tend to move more. They tend to be disciplined in certain areas that we're not. Some European countries, not all of them, obviously, but the lifestyle in some European countries is a lot more active. Yeah. They're walking places instead of getting in their car, riding public transportation. I certainly don't think, this portion of the world, North and South, Central South America, I don't think are doing much better than us. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an issue in a lot of places. I certainly don't think it's only an issue here. However, here we do have, the majority of us have more means than others. We do have more income than others, so we are able to lead a more sedentary life. Our life doesn't depend on being as physically active. So that's how I would answer that. The mental side. And
hold on one second. I'm gonna just give you a quick little. So Bloomberg's Global Health Index states that the top 10 healthiest countries, and this is as of 21. Number 1 is Switzerland. Number 2 is Norway. Number 3 is Iceland. Number 4 is Hong Kong. Isn't Hong Kong in China?
It is, but it's recognized as its own. It's actually a big political issue. I'm surprised you didn't know that.
And I'm like proud of my geography skills, and I did not know that.
Okay. It's actually a big, what's it called? It's actually a big controversy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Hong Kong's 4, Australia is 5, Denmark is 6, Sweden is 7, Ireland is 8, Germany is 9, and the Netherlands is 10. The U.S. is not on the top 10 list.
There you go. So those are European countries.
Yep. So the U.S. is...
I'm surprised like Japan's not on there.
Japan is just below UK, then it's South Korea, and then it's the U.S. So like
what number
20th.
20th?
Yeah.
There you go.
20th.
There you go.
And
Not shocked.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
And I haven't defined. I don't know what. I didn't read enough to say what actually qualifies on the Global Health Index. But
yeah. And then on the mental side, maybe we take these one by one. You actually mentioned number 1 already. Early human civilization, aka hunter-gatherers, had specific role, or you sort of mentioned this. You maybe mentioned it later. This one's early civilization had specific roles and tasks for each individual in order to survive. Modern culture does not require such things.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I think it's huge.
This is more on the mental side.
It's a purpose.
Why depression?
This is purpose. Like how does you understanding your purpose in society in this world correlate to identity, which then has a direct correlation in mental health.
Yeah.
We're just lost. And that's what it is we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to rely on our own inner truth on what is happiness and what's joy. And that inner truth, we're saying, oh, it's our truth, is what we see in the media or what we see on social media. Mm-hmm. That's how we're gauging it. And so we're trying to make things up, and we don't have a good foundation of what our purpose is. Mm-hmm. And so we're just lost. We really, truly are lost. And I'm telling you, like, the satisfaction and just overall like contentment when you do something impactful for something bigger than yourself mm-hmm. is profound.
Right.
Like whether it's you go and serve the homeless community, or you're helping fight human trafficking, or you just go coach a team, something that's bigger than yourself, when you walk away from it, there is something that puts you at ease, at totally different than anything else. And we have a very small percentage of the population that's actually pursuing that by their own choice.
Yeah, agreed. Number 2, more awareness and focus on the issue. So depression, one of the reasons it's at all-time highs is because we're more aware of it. I mean, think about the comedian Trey Kennedy actually did a funny skit on this. You know, he played a bunch of different roles, and it was people how they approached mental health. And the old boomer role was like, what are you talking about, mental health? What are you talking about, depression? That's not even a thing. So, you know, back in the 50s or whatever time of year you want to pick, it's just like you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, it's the WebMD like syndrome. Right. It's like, oh, there's something like bothering me. Look it up, and it goes from having a kink in your neck to having an aneurysm, mm-hmm. because that's what's going to happen. Like, so now you're reaffirming in your head,
right?
Like mental health wise, like, hey, okay, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this. Oh, the numbers are staggering. I must have it too. And then it literally is a snowball effect, and it continues to compound.
That's right. Number 3, increase in drug and alcohol abuse.
Yep.
Number 4.
So conversation I had last night, a buddy of mine works for a marketing company, and his marketing company represents adult beverage companies. Like they do all like marketing anyways. And he's like, dude, pandemic, we have blown up because
I'm
all of
sure.
our clients have absolutely crushed it since the
sure.
pandemic because alcohol sales are all-time high. Weird that there's a direct correlation in mental health mental health issues.
Yeah. Mental health since 2020, alcohol consumption since 2020.
Yeah.
Number 4, poor physical health, which we talked about. We're increasingly overfed, malnourished, sedentary, sunlight deficient, sleep deprived, and socially isolated. So we've already discussed that. Number 5, decline in relationships. This is what you were talking about a second ago. Decline in relationship and increase in loneliness. So we also shared the marriage statistics from a few weeks ago. So a decline
even
in
just
relationships
interaction,
and
like-
increase in loneliness.
Yeah, because we don't feel like we need people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this. I can do this. I'm going to work from home, and then I'm just going to do me. I'm content just watching Netflix or watching, binge watching a show. Like that is what, and I feel it too. Honestly, who was I talking to? I think it was out at the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, I was talking to somebody, a good friend of Tiffany and I, and this guy is like extremely personable, extremely like outgoing from the perspective. He's like, I've done studies on myself, and I am it's a extroverted introvert. So I will, when I'm out, I'm on, but my happiness comes when I'm alone. And I feel like I've gone so much that way because I used to get energy when I'm around people, and it's less and less that.
Yeah.
And I would say really kind of pandemic has kind of exponentially made that worse, but we pull in, right? And we pull in for a number of reasons. I think it's self-confidence, which is that spiral because of mental health and questioning what we're seeing. And we're just like, we don't feel like we're good enough because all these standards and expectations and all these things, we've set our ruler on what being a successful person looks like at unrealistic places because there's a handful that we see on social media that's not even real. Mm-hmm. And we then apply them to ourselves and we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
So 1, I'm not good enough. 2 is I don't need anybody because I'm just filling it with stuff that does not contribute to health, mentally or physically. And then 3 is I just feel like the idea of community is becoming less and less important because of everything else we do in our life is so isolated.
Right.
We don't rely on anybody else because I can get my own food. I can get my own money. I can do everything on my own, and I really don't need anybody else. Whereas back in the day is, okay, I need somebody to go hunt. I need somebody to make clothes. I need somebody to go collect water. I need somebody to build the structures. I need all these things because I can't do everything.
Yeah. No, and even not even that long ago, like the role that I play in our company, I've said this before, I could literally sit on my computer all day long, not have to talk to a single person in person.
Yep.
I could sit on my computer. I could DoorDash food to my house if I wanted,
Yep.
or groceries. So I almost would never have to leave my house if I really didn't want to in 2023.
Yep.
Even 10, 15 years ago, I at least had to go to the grocery store because they weren't going to deliver it to me.
Right.
So I think of the scene, and you've seen The Sandlot, surely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when they go play the night game under the
Yes.
fireworks, but they're running through the neighborhood with all the setup,
the neighborhood parties,
the
and all
neighborhood
that.
party.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I love about my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Halloween, 4th of July.
Yep.
We do something very similar. It's everybody's sitting out on their lawn chairs on their front yard,
Yep.
passing out candy, and it feels old school.
Yeah.
It feels like we are a community. We're not just all living in a house that just happens to be next to each other. We're actually a community here.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that happens all over the
Yeah,
place.
and the other thing too, just from a technology standpoint, think about like people are identifying community as somebody I'm interacting with on social media, right? That's my interaction with people, or video games. Like think about the massive number of like adolescent, mostly I'm going to stereotype, like boys, that their interaction with people is playing Call of Duty or Madden, or I don't even know what the other games are now, but like, and their interaction is talking to somebody in, Madison, Wisconsin,
right?
Where they live in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. I'm playing with my buddies tonight.
Yeah. What?
Never met the guy, but I'm playing with my buddies.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen his face, but you know what I mean? And so there's just this shift and twist that community is defined so different.
Yep.
And we're lacking the benefits of physical interaction that we traditionally have had as a community.
Yeah, not to be the get off my lawn guys, but when I was a kid, we would get on our bikes.
How'd you know where your buddies were?
The amount of bikes
in the front yard.
The amount of bikes in the front yard.
That's right.
We'd get on our bikes. We'd ride to the local Little League field, and we'd play baseball all day long. And we'd come home. That's just how it was. It was never. Now, video games started to be introduced as I got into middle school, and that presented a challenge there. But it was mostly in person interaction.
But you couldn't play Sonic the Hedgehog for 13 hours straight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It was just different.
And even at that time, you weren't playing online. So even if you were,
you're playing with a buddy.
Yeah, there's 6 buddies at the house.
Yeah.
Two were playing, and the other ones were hanging out. So you were still together.
Yes.
It's not like you were on a headset.
That's right.
So anyway, the next one, exposed to more, quote, bad news and exposed to more people living their lives we wish we had. This is a social media, mainstream media. It's incentivized to show us the bad, not the good. That's pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about that before. Next, here's one maybe we highlight. Increased emphasis on me over we.
Yeah.
We have slowly turning things into your truth and what's best for me, and looking out for number one. The sense of we're in this together seems to be fading. And again, maybe that's just online life. I think you go out in your community, depending on where you live, and you still get that sense. But it's not as strong as it once was. I know that for sure. I feel that. Yeah. A sense of we're in this together. What's best for all of us, as opposed to how can I get mine? Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that you say a lot, and service of others. And it has derailed so far from that. Now, as a community, it's like, I got to get mine. Like, it's all about whatever I get so that I can be viewed as important, as opposed to, look, I'm going to go serve, and I'm going to go, my Bible study, my little men's group that we do, we're going through Philippians chapter 2 right now. And the whole thing is talking about service and the importance of humble service. So the whole chapter is, listen, like, it's not like joy comes from service. Like, the eternal reward comes from service. Salvation comes from service. It's not about us. It's not, because you serve you, the second you die, it's done. There's no lasting effect. There's no legacy. When you are serving others, that's when you're impacting other people, and your impact now lasts beyond when you're just physically on this earth. Yeah. And so again, that comes to purpose. That comes to, you talk about like value. When you are not worried about yourself and you're worried and doing things for others, and people are going to hurt you, and I get it, there's disappointment associated with it. But when you're doing things for others, like, that is what fills your cup. Like, you may be serving others and pouring out, but trust me, your cup is filled just as fast when you are doing things for other people.
Right. Yeah, that one and number one, everybody having a specific role and task are very correlated to me. And so no matter what you believe, where we came from, whether there's a big bang, whether there's a divine in heaven that created us, you were created, however that happened, you can just feel it. When you go serve somebody, when you do something truly for somebody else, yes, there's a small selfish aspect to it, but you just feel so much different than if you go out and you seek self-serving pleasure. Yep. That's how you were designed. That's how you were created. That's how you came into this world, is to have a role in the community and serve other people. Have that mentality of, this is for the collective good, as opposed to what's good for me.
Yeah, and it could be more than just, it could be your family too, right? Think about any parents out there of a family. Would a vacation be more satisfying and fulfilling if you go on a vacation by yourself? Like, say I'm going to go to Disney by myself.
I don't understand those people.
That's weirdos. Talk about mental health.
Yeah. Like, I've known people in my past who have been, I love taking vacation by myself. I'm like,
yeah, I could do like a nature vacation by myself. Like, I could go drive to Wyoming and I could be by myself for a week. I think that's more of a reset than it is like, that's what I strive for when I'm planning things through the year. Like, I don't want to be by myself. I want to take my kids camping and go swim in the river and fish and hunt and climb rocks and do all the fun things because I want to see the joy that they have. Like, that is what is fulfilling to me. So same deal is like when we're living life just to serve me, it's the same concept. Like, when you see the joy by something that you help provide, whether it be vacation, whether it be coaching, whether it be like community service, whatever it is, when you see others see joy, like that is the fulfillment. Mm-hmm. It's not isolating, doing it all by myself. And if we're honest, when you do experience those things, when we are selfish, we do those things, if I'm being honest, there's always guilt associated with that.
Yeah.
That's not a fun feeling.
I heard this asked the other day. Think about the greatest moments in your life.
Yeah.
The best thing that you could ever imagine that happened to you.
Yeah.
Were you alone in those moments?
No chance.
Not once.
Like literally when you said that, the number one thing, and kids, marriage, yeah, whatever, is literally Chicago 2011, my very first NFL game. And I've told the story, but the only reason that it was so profoundly impactful and emotional for me was because Tiffany was in the stands with me.
Yeah.
She was there. Yeah. That was it. Like every time something like, what's the most memorable moment in your life? That's it. Every time pops in my head. And it's not because if I was just there and she was home, I would have kind of brought her there like mentally, but like the fact that she was there and she was a part of that was it.
But even if she wasn't, you have 51 other teammates next to you.
Yeah.
52, however
many. I mean,
right?
Granted, I'm looking at Urlacher right here, and I'm looking at Jay Cutler and Matt Forte on my right. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
You're part of a team.
Yeah.
You're part of a group.
That's right.
The greatest moments of your life, there's always at least somebody else involved.
Yeah, second is Valley Championship game, which is the championship in my high school football team. Yeah. Like that was
in the past, bro.
Dude. Bro, I'm just waiting to die after that game, dude. That was my mountaintop. Central Valley CIF champs, go Cougars 2002.
And then the last one, I thought this was interesting. There's a correlation between a country's GDP and rates of depression. So the higher the GDP correlates with higher rates of depression. Did you know that?
Which is interesting. So that would insinuate that the U.S. has the lowest depression.
No. That would insinuate the U.S. has the highest depression because we have a very high GDP.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was
high GDP.
Inverse relationship.
No, high GDP, high depression.
Okay.
Both are high.
Got it.
Both are up.
Got it. Okay.
Which this speaks to the whole that long quote, good times create weak men.
Yeah.
We have it so good. Yeah. We have time to be depressed.
Oh.
Think about times in your life when you're frantic, when you're on the grind, when you have a purpose, when you're working for others. You don't have time for depression.
Yeah.
You're after something. You're going for it. You're on a mission. When you're a fat cat and you've got your bills taken care of, there's really no struggle. You create your own struggle.
Yeah.
That's when you have time to sit there and think, maybe I am depressed. Maybe I do have anxiety. But when you're on the path, when you're on a mission, when you're striving for greatness, when you're working in the service of others, there's no time for depression in that. You're onto something. Yeah. So that's just that was an interesting. And Japan, being the outlier here, they have a low obesity rate, low degree of cultural inequality, and a cultural emphasis on collectivism as opposed to individualism. So in Japan, good GDP, but their rates of depression are low because of those reasons. Again, low obesity rate, low degree of cultural inequality, a cultural emphasis on collectivism as opposed to individualism. Yeah. So all the things that we highlighted of what leads to issues with mental health.
Yep.
So what you reaching for there? Extreme ownership?
No. This isn't extreme.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yep. I know these books.
I was looking for Comfort Crisis.
Oh, it's not on there.
Because
I think it's at home.
I think that's a book that kind of a lot of the things that we talked about, it directly correlates.
Couldn't recommend that book any higher.
Yeah.
Go read Comfort Crisis if you haven't read it by Michael Easter. So anyway, any closing thoughts?
No, it was good. I think we need to have one more episode as far as like, okay, now let's summarize. Are we the greatest country?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
We're going to get there. We got one more one more series, one
more
more
topic,
and then
you added one because you said it was going to be a 3-parter.
maybe I did. Maybe the next one will be. I don't know. I gotta go back and look at my notes.
All right.
Either the next one or the one after that. We're gonna wrap this all up. We're gonna bring it home.
Yes.
And really get after.
Yeah, because all we've
done is shit on the US.
I was just gonna say all we've done is just bitch about how bad it is here.
That's called foreshadowing. We're setting it up. We're setting up for the big finale.
But we've got a Quentin Tarantino ending for
That's
you.
right.
One that you would not
So be
expect.
encouraged. We're not going to end this series on a negative note. We're going to end this on a positive note. That's coming either next time or the time after.
Yeah.
But
we're going to present you with an opportunity to be better is what we're going to do.
That's right. But it's so much easier to bitch and moan, isn't it?
Yeah, I just changed the words around so it sounded positive. Sales.
That's right. All right, guys, appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please help us. Let's spread the word. Let's reverse course here. All these things are reversible, thankfully.
Yeah.
And it's how we treat our families. It's how we treat ourselves. So help us out by spreading the word. We're on. I know Tyler doesn't know this, but we've expanded our social media game. And guess who's in charge of that? Unfortunately,
The Benjamin.
If you're a social media expert out there, please hit us up. I'm tired of running our social media. I'm looking right at the camera. I'm pleading for your help. We're on Instagram.
For Ben's mental health that we discussed.
I don't need to be on different social media platforms. I need to be on nothing and let you take care of it for me. We're on Instagram at oneshotshot.pod. We're on YouTube at One Shot Podcast. We're on Twitter now.
The Twitter?
We're on the Twitter, which I'm learning, and it's a wild place.
Only because Elon bought it. Huh?
Yeah,
that's the only.
Yeah, because I can say whatever I want now. I think our handle is at One Shot Pod 44.
Yeah, buddy.
86.
Let's go.
Yeah, so our old numbers at One Shot Pod.
And if you add those up, they equal 28.
That's right. So go follow us on Twitter. We're on the TikTok.
No, we're not.
We are.
No, we're not.
We're giving China all of our information.
No.
We're letting them have it.
No. No, we're not. Well, might as well
we got to reach the young kids somehow.
Might as well have it while we can use it in Texas.
That's right. So we're on TikTok, and then we're also, what's the last one we're on?
The link. You did the
Facebook.
LinkedIn.
We got a Facebook.
Oh, you already
page
talked about
now.
the LinkedIn?
Yeah. Yeah, I started
just
LinkedIn.
got an invite.
Yeah, I started on LinkedIn. I'm like, this really isn't for us. We're talking about divorce rates, and people on LinkedIn don't want to see all that. So,
yeah, okay.
So if we have a business topic, maybe we'll throw it on LinkedIn. But the four main ones: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook.
All right.
So go follow us on all those.
I will not be joining you for the next 36 days.
Oh, did you give up social for Lent?
Social for Lent. And I'm telling you, talk about mental health. I didn't realize how much I relied on it.
Yeah.
Every time I take a dump. It's weird. I didn't know I could do it without getting onto Instagram or something like that. And I'm not on social media very much, right?
No, you're not at all.
And so it's one of those deals like just natural.
You're on it, but you're not posting or
No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm just not. It's wild. Like recognizing how much like reactionary, like in line at Chipotle or like, oh, I'm going to pull up. Like the time that I'm already seeing that I get back is crazy.
Yeah. So Lent's where they do Ash
Wednesday? It's a Catholic tradition, not Catholic, but obviously Christian based, but it's essentially representing, right, the 40 days of fasting that Jesus did when he went into the desert, right? And it's giving up something for 40 days. It's nothing compared to what he did, obviously, but it's just giving something up. Like my kids are giving up all sweets, which is a big deal for them because they love treats. My wife's done social media the last couple of years, and she's like, it's the best I've ever felt when I'm totally disconnected from that.
Yeah, Lent or not, it's just a good thing to do.
That's right.
My 3-year-old goes to a Methodist preschool.
Yeah.
And so they were doing it, and they were putting the little ash cross on it. He said, no, thank you.
No, I'll pass.
So he came
what kind of cult you guys run here?
He came home, he didn't have a cross on his forehead. He said, no, thank you. So he's not giving up anything for Lent. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all so much. Have a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and we will see you